Episode 12, Relevés, written by Chris Brancato and Brian Fuller, directed by Michael Reimer. Welcome to Fate and Circumstance, a Hannibal fan podcast where we are getting close to the end. I am your main host, Felix Fanfaron Fern, and these are my co-hosts.
Hello, I'm Melisa Suzan, and oh my god, we're close to the end.
Hello, I'm Shaira Bambi. Oh no, Will! Poor Will.
No, Will indeed. That should just be the tagline for the entire show, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh god damn it, Hannibal.
So, actually, no. I'm not going to ask you what you thought about the episode first of all. First of all, I'm going to issue an apology. Which is that a few episodes ago, we were talking about Freddie Lowndes, and I said something about her having suspicions about Abigail. I think I even used the term plot holes. And Shaira said to me, "Is that a spoiler?" And I said, "No, it's not a spoiler." Because I had legitimately forgotten that Freddie Lowndes suspected Abigail of doing something. And I made it sound like that's what I thought, because that is what I thought. So technically it was a spoiler for this episode, but I didn't remember.
Oh, thank
Well,
you.
I never noticed.
No one would ever know. I felt bad, so I had to apologise for an accidental spoiler that wasn't really a spoiler, but could have been a spoiler, maybe.
I
mean,
held
it
on to
didn't
that.
work. We didn't get spoiled.
Well,
No.
I held on to that. It wasn't a spoiler. I
felt like
I just forgot that she did actually have more precise suspicions.
I was always suspicious.
Yeah, I kind of knew. So it didn't feel like a spoiler
Yeah.
because I kind of knew
Yeah, she
that
would have got
Freddie
something
had.
anyway.
Yeah, Freddie suspects a lot of people.
She does.
Sometimes she's
mostly
right,
wrong.
sometimes she's right. Sometimes she's right, sometimes she's wrong.
I like sometimes she's right, sometimes she's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but then like she's wrong with Will. They're all wrong with Will. Goddamn idiots.
So, what were your reactions to this episode?
Honey, no! I feel betrayed again. Even though we know he's a killer. We know he's evil. But why do we feel betrayed? Poor Will, and also we need Beverly. We need some brain cells in the room. Please, someone have some brain cells. Why is everyone suspecting my poor Will? Like the puzzle pieces are there, put together. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like gripped because I want to see how it all unfolds. I will say I did say this, that my reaction to the end was completely almost opposite to Shaira's, because I didn't feel betrayed. I just knew, which is fine because I only knew the second that Abigail went over to Hannibal and like hugged. I was like, nah, he's there already. Yeah, nah, no. I know exactly what's happening. Well, I know exactly that he's gonna like turn on her or he's gonna get like all weird. I just knew that like, yeah, nah, it's done.
Well, you've been like team Hannibal is manipulative and only out for himself for a long time.
Yeah.
See, I am that, but I also love Hannibal, so I let his red flags.
You're too romantically attached.
I am too romantically attached.
I can't be with men. I see the pretty face and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So like at the beginning I was like, yeah, cool, like pretty hot, I get it. And now I'm just like, yeah, no. Sort it out.
Very valid.
I'm still, yes, please.
Also understandable. So, going on to our talking points, I put this one first so we can get it out of the way. Georgia Madchen. Fuck. What was your reaction to what happened to poor, lovely, healing, looking great Georgia Madchen?
Oh, bless her.
Bless, yeah. Fuck no, I should be buried alive. That poor girl.
I thought it was going to be too easy for her to like survive and then be able to speak to someone about what she saw, because I feel like if she survived and then was then questioned, I feel like they would then be able to put it on to Hannibal a bit more, which is obviously why he dropped the comb in there. But I feel like I was like, when I saw her in the thing and she was all like, recovered and stuff, I was like, nah, this ain't lasting, because it doesn't make sense. The story wouldn't be able to carry on too much. There wouldn't be like another season after this. I was like, I know I'm waiting for something to happen to her. I just didn't know it was going to happen that quick. When when she started looking at herself and then combed slowly, I was like, oh no, not a comb on her hair. And then it all just happened. I was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that part was quite horrific. I can only watch it once. And like we watched it again before, and both me and Felix had to look away.
Yeah. I've seen it so many times, and each time I watch it, I find it harder. I think because each time I feel more and more for her as a character, and I can't. It's not even like the visceralness of burning to death. It's the fact that it's her. I really can't deal with it.
Yeah. Because if you actually look at the graphics of it, it's low key. If you look at the quality of it, it's so funny because it's terrible.
It's just fire. It's just so a little fire graphic. That's it.
Yeah, literally just fire overlay on her, and she's just screaming. Yeah, it's so. That's why I looked at it and I was like, oh, this time that I watched it, I was like, oh, that's actually like really funny because of how like bad it is compared to everything else as well.
Yeah.
Was not expecting it.
Yeah, it's very different to all like the visceral gore and stuff we've seen. It's actually very simple.
Yeah, it's just poor girl. Like, she deserve it.
Her. I can't.
Yeah, it's like she's not rude. She's nice. She's kind. She's unfortunately sick.
Yeah, that's it. Similar to Will, she was just sick.
She was just sick. And like Hannibal, I can't forgive you for this.
Like, she had the key to being found out, which is why she had to go.
She was doomed by just poor, unfortunate circumstances.
Just because she walked into the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep. Yeah, because she was like following Will around, basically.
I mean, valid because Will. Have you seen Will? But like,
the way Will talks to her is so sweet as well.
Oh no!
Such a good boy.
Such a good boy.
So, might as well talk a little bit about Freddie Lowndes because she's in this episode actually quite a bit. So we get to see more about how perceptive she is, but she's also, we kind of mentioned this when we were rewatching the episode, she's very similar to Jack in that she's very intelligent, but she's also incredibly single-minded, which means that she can get very close to something, but also very far away. So just any thoughts on what Freddie Lowndes is up to?
Like, I knew this didn't surprise me that Freddie is so perceptive. That I knew she was. And I really like it. I really enjoyed that she was. I also think she's just because of her single-mindedness, she's dumb. She's doing dumb shit again. Like, why suspect Will when you have all the other information on you? Like, I get it. You don't like Will, but like, you're dislike. Like, I feel like everyone's blinded by something, and this is her Achilles heel. Will is her Achilles heel, where she's so blinded by Will that she's able to see every single thing that we the viewer aren't seeing and suss out like Abigail and stuff like that. But then just because she's blinded by Will, she's not able to see anything else, similar to everyone else.
Why doesn't she like Will though? Because she's the one that started the beef. She insulted him and he was like, yeah, giving her attitude back, and then she didn't like it, and now she's got a thing against him.
I think basically from the first episode, because she watched what he was doing, I think she kind of doesn't believe in his empathy, is my kind of theory. So to her, because he thinks like a killer, he must be dangerous. So because she thought that and she wrote that article about him, she's now convinced that the only way you could think like a killer is if you're as dangerous as one, and she's never let that go.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
True.
Fair. I don't know what she's up to. She's actually like jarring me a lot of the time.
Yeah,
She annoys me.
Yeah, and it makes sense for someone who feels a little bit of lacking empathy to think it's someone who has empathy would be a killer.
She's definitely narcissistic, so you probably be like, she's not great with empathy.
Massively, yeah.
But it confuses me, it annoys me. I love her to bits because she's very smart. She's very Jack-like. She's the opposite kind of Jack, pretty much more more going behind the law than with the law. So like two sides of the same coin kind of thing, coming back again. which is really cool. But yeah, I thought, but she annoys me like Melissa does in the fact that she's so one-minded.
Freddie Lounds annoys you like I annoy you, and I'm.
I need to clarify that. No, Melissa does not annoy me. As I knew that you would pick that up. I was going to clarify that. No, Melissa does not annoy me. I'm saying how Melissa thinks on Freddie Lounge. That Melissa is annoyed by Freddie Lounge. I'm also annoyed by Freddie Lounge.
Melissa also wears great outfits.
Melissa's lovely. But yeah, Melissa also wears great outfits, you know. All the positive things that Freddie is, you are, but you're not an asshole. You don't annoy me.
Yeah, okay, fine. Again.
We've got beef now. We've got beef.
Yeah.
Good drama is what gets people to listen.
I mean, we had chicken soup.
Just no, you fucking wait. We're not going to get onto that yet. Right. I suppose I could have done that already as we spoke about George Batch, but no, I'm going to make you wait till chicken soup. Or Chinese medicinal broth. So, you mentioned Jack Crawford. So, Jack Crawford also keeps getting horribly, tantalizingly close. His suspicions of Abigail get him both closer to the truth, but also kind of further away from it, because he's figured out what she's done, but he suspects her of so much more. And so his decision to Bedelia also gets him close, because he starts to suspect Hannibal, and then takes him further away again. So how do you feel about the fact that ultimately he's placing his trust in Hannibal?
This is the second dumbest shit he's done. The first being Miriam Lass, and also torturing our poor boy Will. But like, come on, you know Will. Like, you're close to Will. How? Like, okay, Freddie, I can forgive, but you, no, I can't.
That's why he looks so upset as well, though.
Yeah.
It's not surprising. Like, there's like an initial shock of like, oh, he's doing this now, but it's also like, I don't know, I think I've been out of this spell, like you said, for a while, of Hannibal wanting to love Will, be with Will, like, in the sense of like having a friendship with. No, he doesn't. He's doing exactly what he's just making moves to cover himself, divert attention to somewhere else, because everything he's doing is to cover his back. If if he didn't put a comb into that little box, then he would be arrested. I feel like I feel like he's literally just covering his tracks and doing whatever he wants, and it's a sharp reminder of like, this is who Hannibal really is.
I agree with you, Hannibal.
Yeah,
but like, I'm completely shocked with Jack's reaction to Hannibal's manipulation, where he's not questioning it one bit. Like, come on, you're closer to this than you are than Freddie is. You should have more of a knowledge. You're smart. You're closer to this, and you are smarter than this.
But he's the one that's this is the guy that's assessing Will's like mental state. But also, I don't think he is not questioning Hannibal, because he was a bit iffy about Hannibal in the past, and he does say that he thinks that Hannibal is keeping information.
Oh yeah, but this is after where Hannibal kind of reveals differently. But yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I think no, he's also been like, I can't remember when it was. Felix, you might be able to say when it is, but he has been suspicious of Hannibal before. I'm pretty sure.
I know.
He was a little bit when Tobias Budge was killed. Yeah, you could tell that Jack didn't feel comfortable about that situation. Two of my talking points have kind of got tied together, which is both Jack and Hannibal, so sort of keep it all together. So I think a lot of the issue is he lies to both of them in this episode. And I think one of the reasons why it's so easy for Jack, but difficult for us to see and understand, is because the entire time, this entire series, he's been saying one thing to Will and one thing to Jack. When he's having food with Will in the hospital and mentions like the dementia and mental health issues, Will says, shouldn't you be telling Jack? And Hannibal is like, no. But he has.
Yeah.
He's been planting the idea of mental illness into Jack's head for the last few episodes. So Hannibal has been planting the idea of Will being unstable for ages, which makes it much easier, I think, for Jack to suspect him, because Hannibal has been planting the seeds whilst at the same time telling Will that he hasn't been doing that and it's all confidential.
Yeah, that's true.
All whilst lying to Will that he has anything wrong with him in the first place.
Yeah.
It still baffles me though, because I think I don't know. I give Jack more credit than that, and I'm like, yeah. Just it really shocked me that he was like, oh yeah, no, okay, it's totally Will. Like what? My friend.
But also, is he really that crazy for thinking about it? Because when he's talking about the thought process, he's saying like, well, you know, he was the last person to see this person. He was in this office when this person died. Like, he's counting the fact that like these are all the last encounters that these victims had before they were murdered. It's not like the most outlandish thing to think, especially where he's able to be so like on point about it. This, I think, is kind of I think it'd be silly not to be like, what? How does he know all of this? Like, why is he able to think so clearly as a killer? It's not that he's like maybe autistic, but not actually. Like, it's just like, how is someone this smart? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just also in the same breath that he dismisses Will, and when Will says, "Oh, it isn't black and white. It's these murders are tied with these murders," and then he dismisses Will on that assumption. And then Will also, why would Will? I know maybe he's thinking, oh, Will's got like a dissociative personality where one side of him is the killer, one side of him is not. But like, why would Will lead Jack to himself if he thinks he's the killer? But yeah. But you know, obviously, I just got answered myself. Like, it could be they could think it's a dissociative disorder.
Ultimately, Jack believes in evidence more than he believes in people.
Yeah.
So, and although he does dismiss Will, he then goes behind his back and starts looking into it with Sarah and Jimmy Price. So, although he's kind of like, I don't believe you, Will, he then immediately is like, actually, no, I do trust Will. I've always trusted Will, so I'm going to look into this anyway and see if there's anything where we can then go back and reassure Will, actually, we found this. So he is listening to them both. He's getting evidence both from Will's theories and from what Hannibal is telling him. It's just, unfortunately, I think the scale is weighed in Hannibal's favour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it sucks, but ultimately there's just too much coming from that side, which I think is why Jack looks like Jack is literally on the verge of tears. Because he trusts Will so much. So it's not that he's dismissing him so much as he can't just turn away evidence that's being presented to him, and I think he hates that fact.
Yeah, because you have to stick to your job, don't you? You have to, whatever situation you're faced with, that's why it's so difficult for him. He's just like, okay, well, I've been given this information, so you have to investigate it like you would anything else. You can't play favourites, and you can't let emotions get in the way of it.
Yeah, I just don't think that in such a, you know how Will talks, if you understand the person, I just don't believe that like even the recording should be something that would make me suspicious of Will.
But you have to you can't not though, because even every bit of evidence is still evidence. You have to take it for what it is. At the end of the day, this is a recording from his psychiatrist that says that he feels guilty, like he did a murder. Like, you have to just take that for what it is. And you have to take it into consideration. Anything is evidence.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you mentioning understanding Will is also an interesting one, because I think part of the problem is Jack has never understood Will.
Yeah.
He appreciates his skills and he thinks that he's intelligent and that he's a just good person, but he doesn't understand him. And Hannibal thinks he does understand Will, which I think is why it's so easy for him to manipulate him.
I would disagree in that. I think Jack understands Will a lot more than he thinks he does. But yeah,
I think that's absolutely fair.
Yeah, mostly because of his lines.
Let's take a little break away from the stressful stuff.
Yes,
and go towards the fun stuff.
Okay.
Which is food. It's gonna be food. The fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like I know what's coming.
I'm not going to start a fight about the food, don't worry. You can if you like. If you want to fight about it, you're absolutely welcome to. So I mentioned this to you during the rewatch. You both knew this as well. I didn't expect it to be in the script, but it is, because I think it's quite obvious to most people, which is when they're eating in the hospital, it mirrors the first episode. It's set up to look exactly like when they had their breakfast in the motel in episode 1, which is lovely.
Cute.
And then the meal in this episode is silky chicken in a broth, which is what I am going to refer to it as.
No.
Okay, what would you refer to it as?
Oh wait, no, wait. I thought you were going to say which is what I'm going to refer to as chicken.
Oh no,
soup.
I'm going to call it silky chicken in a broth.
Yeah,
which is chicken
and that's
soup.
exactly what it is.
No, chicken soup.
So in the episode,
I don't understand why my frustration and my suffering has to be at everyone else's entertainment.
It's funny.
Why?
So, in the script, when Hannibal presents his beautiful dish that he has brought to the hospital, which, by the way, is just the cutest, sweetest thing in the world, considering how evil he is, because it's clearly probably not got human in it as well. So it's it's kind of a nice, like, legitimately nice gesture.
Yeah.
In the script, for once, when Will Graham says, "You made me chicken soup," the script says Hannibal offers a supportive smile. Of course he did. That is definitely not what happens in the actual episode.
Literally, he gave him the look of death.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Like how Melissa does every time we call it chicken soup.
And
Literally.
rightfully so. If someone said that after I explained that this is a rare thing that I've just created for you, love, hard labor's gone into it for days, made it, it's medicinal, it's going to help you. Oh, you made me chicken soup. The way I would be like, do you know what? You're fine, you're cured. Get up, get out of your bed, walk out of the building. How dare you?
You know why he calls it chicken soup, though, right?
I didn't say I wouldn't appreciate you making it.
If there's any other reason other than because it's chicken in a broth and that's a chicken soup, then
no, he calls it chicken soup because that's a traditional American "you're ill and I want to make you better" thing.
And chicken soup has scientifically been proven to make someone feel better.
And that's why he says it. He's
this
saying,
is more than
you made
just
me think to make me
chicken
better.
It's more than just chicken soup.
It's fancy chicken soup.
Fancy.
Yeah, it's just fancy, silly, elevated chicken soup.
Can I have some support, please, where people can like back me up?
Okay,
I tweet in and tag Melisa Suzan to tell her how right she is. Please.
Can I have support of everyone? Like, do you know what? We'll do a poll. We'll do like a poll on Twitter or something, and be like, "Are you calling it chicken soup? Are you calling it silky chicken in a broth?" And if I see the chicken soup win, I quit. No, I'm not actually.
When this episode comes out, I will post a poll.
That's amazing.
So
I wanted to call it a chicken curry, but you know,
it's definitely not a curry. I'm sorry, it's
definitely
not
a chicken curry. No, definitely not a chicken curry.
Though being brought chicken curry in hospital would also be amazing.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Why does it make you feel better? So, lots of different meals were in the script originally for this episode, because originally there was a scripted dinner with Hannibal and Abigail. Then there was a scripted dinner between Hannibal and Bedelia, which instead becomes them in her house. So all these meals were kind of moved around. One of the meals that was planned is actually in the next episode. And then this breakfast was originally going to be amaranth porridge garnished with cruciferous vegetables, legumes, and grains. But then Janice Poon changed it to a Chinese medicinal soup, specifically the one that her father used to make.
Oh.
So yeah, that makes it so extra sweet.
That is sweet. Unfortunately, it's from Hannibal, so you know.
It's still a really lovely gesture, but in the context, it's hard to see it as a nice gesture because of who it is, and also the discussion they have whilst eating it isn't very nice either. There's one other thing I wanted to mention about this dish, which is more to do with screen magic. So this is from Janice Poon's blog, and it features some stuff I knew about, but her specific workaround is fantastic. Do you know how they usually produce steam in like TV and cinema?
I forgot how do they do, but
I feel like I have learned about this, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I feel like I have watched like a video or something telling
It
me.
wouldn't surprise me if it rings a bell when I tell you.
it probably will
go
ring a
for it.
bell.
So normally you get a tampon, and
Yes,
you fill it with water and you microwave it, and then it makes steam.
yes. That is it. Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
However, this is a clear broth, so you can't put tampons in it. So instead, she made what she called mushroom pom-poms. So she got mushrooms and then like carved out a space in them and put cotton wool in it, soaked the cotton wool in water, and just stuffed the mushrooms and then like put them upside down in it after microwaving them, so the mushrooms produce steam. Which is really clever.
That is really clever.
Why do they do this in general? Is it because if you heat up like a whole thing, there's just going to be too much steam and it won't look good on camera?
Or it just won't stay hot enough for the scene kind of thing. Like by the time they get to the point they want to show it on camera, it probably won't be steaming anymore.
That's true. I guess if it's concentrated, it's sort of like a bit more controlled, I suppose.
Yeah, if it's a small portable thing, you can just microwave it, then chuck it in, sort of like during the scene.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You have to eat that.
Yeah, thankfully I don't think they consume any of the cotton wool, but so going back to the more sad stuff. Actually, well, I wouldn't call this much sad point of view, I guess. Bedelia, one of my favourite characters, she's clearly hiding something about what really happened between her and the former patient that keeps getting mentioned, who was also Hannibal's former patient that attacked her. What do you think she's hiding behind her half-truths, or because we can't really easily answer that, just what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I would say that given by the way in which she was telling Hannibal about what she told Jack, she said half-truths, then she said that the patient swallowed their tongue when they attacked her. So I'm assuming that it was maybe Hannibal that did something instead and like killed him or something. That would be my guess, just by the way that the energy shifted when Bedelia said that, like, oh, Jack asked me about my attack. His demeanor, everything changed. Yeah. Because he was sort of like, do I need to be worried about her and start thinking about what I'm going to do to her? Or can I be sort of sure that she's not going to cross me? Because the way he was very like, sort of, he put his hand on the chair, like, I think he like put a finger on the chair and was just like thinking, just being like, okay, what did you tell him? And then she says half-truths and said that this happened. It was just the energy between them and the way in which they were very like delicate in the way that they delivered their lines to each other. I feel like the actual attack isn't it. Maybe the attack happened, but how the patient died isn't. Definitely they didn't swallow their tongue. I feel like they're very much hinting that that's not what happened. I think given the nature of the show, maybe Hannibal did something to kill the patient to stop them attacking her. It would be my guess.
So I gotta admit, I did not think she was real, Bedelia, for the longest time until Jack walked through that door.
Like, I can understand that.
I thought she was dead and she was part of Hannibal's psyche. Like until Jack walked in, my theory was it was Hannibal's way of dealing with something and kind of like part of his psyche, and it's like that all played into one of it. All of those scenes of Bedelia was just parts of his psyche that we saw.
That's
and until
really
that happened,
interesting take. Yeah.
I don't know why. I just thought like Bedelia.
Until this episode, she's always been incredibly separate, so I think that's a very valid theory.
Yeah, and she just reflects Hannibal in a way to me. Like she has this weird kind of like Hannibal-esque demeanor as well, and I thought that's the case. But then, but obviously after this episode, I agree with Melissa here, where that I think that she's telling Jack that the story that her client died by his own hand, but yeah, obviously it's something that she owes Hannibal for. So clearly, either Hannibal helped her, or and I'm going to bring up one of my running theories. She's part of the Hannibal cannibal family, and she's helping Hannibal in a way, and that's probably why she has the same demeanor as Hannibal. She's helping Hannibal. She clearly killed that person and ate him or her with Hannibal. So like they feel like they're like two ducks in the same pond. So I'm not even sure if that's the right correct analogy, but yeah.
The thought across my mind did almost think like, is Hannibal actually the patient that attacked her? Because at first I was like, oh, maybe he's the one that attacked her or something like that. Like he was the actual patient and he's the one that attacked her, and then maybe they framed someone else.
Yeah, that's where my theory that she's dead comes from. Like she was someone who she was Hannibal's psychiatrist, but she's dead, so she no longer is, and that's who attacked him. But now obviously it has to be someone else, or it could still be Hannibal, but she's still alive. But yeah, that's where my theory came from. That's why I thought she was dead all this time, and she's just part of Hannibal's psyche. But yeah, that's also a good point that Hannibal could be the one that attacked her.
Or she killed him. She killed the patient, and like we've seen before, Hannibal helped her sort of like come up with a story or something like that. Because for me, like there needs to be some sort of hold. There needs to be some sort of like, not blackmail, but kind of the essence of a blackmail situation for Hannibal to have this kind of, evidently what we've seen now, a little bit of control over Bedelia, because
I agree.
There's something as to why he won't like touch her, like he's not threatened by her or anything like that. So I feel like there's something that maybe she did or something like that, and either he saved her by killing the patient, and maybe that would, suspend her license, or like, well, she doesn't do therapy anymore really, so maybe that would have like got her into worse trouble. But maybe she, in like retaliation, killed the patient or something. I feel like there's some sort of like missing puzzle piece. I think it's one of these things that we've mentioned, and it's like there's some missing puzzle piece as to why he has a hold over her, because that's what Hannibal has with these people before he eventually like discards them. Like he has some sort of power, some manipulation over them, some sort of hold of like, I know that you've done this, or I'm helping you, so I know I can control you. I know you're not going to cross me, because if you did, then it'd be worse for you because you would get found out for something.
Yeah, some sort of gambit. You're right. I agree with that. Yeah.
So how much do you think she knows about him?
Quite a lot.
I can't decide. I don't think I can make an assumption yet. I feel like I need to see more, because I feel like maybe she could potentially know, I don't know, like literally just what she knows from that situation of what happened to her and all of that, or she could know everything. Who knows? I have no gauge of it yet, but I feel like there's still going to be an element of surprise. I feel like we're not going to be. I feel like we are going to be shocked by how much she actually knows.
Maybe. Unless she's the long-term member of the Hannibal cannibal family, and she knows a lot.
Can I tell you something really frustrating?
Go for it.
You won't find out this series.
Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting to.
She's too subtle. There's too much going on between those two to find out yet. There's too much going on with Will.
Hannibal cannibal family.
Well, I mean, the fact that everyone wants season 4, right?
Yes.
yeah, the fact that everyone wants a season 4 leads me to believe that there is a lot still to be desired, even though you said it does round off in a way that is still kind of conclusive. So I feel like there's a possibility that we don't find out everything.
You'll certainly
situation.
have some new thoughts about Bedelia by season 3.
Okay, cool.
Well, at least we know that she's still around. And then
Don't. Whenever I mention a character that may or may not be in another season, do not ever trust me on that. I'm being 100% transparent with you. Do not trust me on that.
Just because Felix said that we'll know by season 3 doesn't mean
they are or are not there.
Doesn't mean that she's in season 3. Yeah, that just means by that point.
That's true.
Nothing.
That's true.
I'm too much of a logical thinker, man.
Yeah, Felix is our very own Hannibal.
in a weird roundabout kind of way, yes. I am planting the oddities, but in a much less malicious way, I would like to.
Yes, much less. Okay.
So, going on from Bedelia, let's talk about Abigail. Abigail's understanding of Will in this episode is kind of cut short after he kind of seeks her help, and it seems like they're kind of on the same level for a little bit, but it's cut short by her suspicion of him. The episode ends with the implication that Hannibal is going to kill Abigail. So, in this talking point, what I actually put as a question was, what purpose do you think that serves? Because I'd love to know why you think Hannibal is going to kill Abigail, or has killed Abigail, but also just Abigail in general. Any thoughts you have about her from this episode?
Oh god, another dumb person. Like, why is everyone wow? Oh god, maybe it's just me, and like I love Hannibal. I have such a romantic love for Hannibal. Such a romantic. That's weird. I don't have a romantic. I have a crush on Hannibal, the character. But like, even I can see that he's a manipulative. But I do have much more information. But yeah, I just feel like with that amount of information, I'd understand. But otherwise, I also don't think he'd kill kill Abby, or he's going to kill Abby. Abigail, I really don't feel like I didn't get that from the I think like he's gonna do something, but he's not gonna kill Abby.
Oh, okay. I interpret that end as it's heavily implying that he's going to kill her.
But I think the fact that we don't see it is also an implication of like they want us to think that he is going to.
Yeah, see, I never got that from them. My what moment was like, why is everyone suspecting Will? And that's my what moment. Not that was the reason why I was going like, what? Why? And not the fact that he revealed this, because I know he like Melissa, I knew he's manipulative and stuff like that. I just have a question on him, so let it go. But otherwise, yeah, my confusion was why their crosshairs are so Will focused and not so focused on Hannibal. But yeah,
because that would be too like direct. There would be no series. They have to.
I know.
Out to make you suspect everything under the sun, to the point that we're all like, we don't know what to believe, who to believe. I think they do it very well.
Will must suffer for the narrative.
Will must suffer for the narrative. Yeah, okay. Then there needs to be a coming together of the Hannibal family. So I 100% get it. That's why I don't think Abigail's gonna die. I think eventually they're all gonna become killers. Like. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that to my predictions.
Having said that, though, I don't think. I think if Hannibal though was to kill Abigail, it would point to Will, and
that's a curious thing to
Will
say.
would be. Pardon?
I said that's a curious thing to say.
Why? Because they know that Abigail was with Will. The last time that they know, the last person that was with Abigail that they know of is Will. So if she randomly dies, then they would just suspect Will. He would be arrested, taken into custody, whatever. He would be a big suspect. But then I think that would still complicate things a little bit with Hannibal, I feel like it's still a bit too brash of a move to like do that, and I think to leave it on the episode to end where you don't know if it's going to happen or not makes me think with kind of reverse psychology that it's not actually going to happen.
Okay. I can't say a thing.
Yeah, no, I can't think that he'd kill Abby, because I don't think that he has, like, if his whole motive is to frame Will or to save himself, I don't feel like he's going to do that. Like,
not that it's his motive to frame Will, but it would inherently Will would be the suspect.
Of course, Will would be the suspect in that, but I don't think.
Yeah,
I think Will currently has enough alibi, especially with where he's been at this time, to not die. I think you could pinpoint the time of death and stuff with that. So, and Will's long gone. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, I don't think Abigail's going to die. At least I didn't get that assumption at the end of the show.
Really? He said like Abigail was like, "Are you going to kill me?" And then Hannibal said about he's sorry that
I'm
he
sorry
couldn't
that I
help
couldn't
her
help you in this life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was very heavily implying that he was going to kill her.
Maybe I'm dumb. I thought that was just, sorry I couldn't help you and you're going to jail now. Bye bye.
I think both interpretations are fair.
Yeah, and that was my interpretation. Like, yeah, sorry I couldn't help you. Stay a part of my cannibal family, at least on the outside. Now you're gonna have to be a part of my cannibal family in the inside.
But because she knows everything now, unless he can really manipulate her, she could easily, if he doesn't get rid of her, she could easily just go to police.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe until you told me now that I'm seeing it. Like, I'm actually seeing it. I didn't actually get that in the episode until now. Literally, my brain's like, "You actually could be right. Yeah, you're right. It did heavily imply that he could get killed." But yeah, I did. Yeah. While I was watching it, I didn't get that impression.
Or he could literally just have, like, she's very young, so he could just be very heavily emotionally, like, psychologically manipulating her to the point that she's too scared to say anything because she knows that she'd probably be killed if she does.
Also, I am still giving a little bit of innocence. I'm still like holding onto that little bit of innocence that Hannibal has, and I feel like he's going to be the good dad. He's not going to kill his surrogate daughter. I think like that's also another reason why that I'm like, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that, and I'm going to feel betrayed on the next episode again. Aren't I?
Hannibal and innocence, man.
I will say, remember, you've kind of had similar theories about Bedelia, and she's still alive.
Yeah,
but that's what I mean. Like, there must be some sort of hold that there is between them for that to still be a thing. Like, there must be something on Bedelia's side as well for Hannibal to not need to worry about her. Like, there's got to be something like particular between them that is making him be like she's not threatened, because from what we've seen, she's not involved in any of it. Like, in the sense of, like, he's not going to her in the way that he is with Abigail or anything like this. Like, nothing has happened that we've seen that we know of to this point between them. So for me, like, they're all separate and she's in like a different position. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will tell you, rest assured, that unlike the Bedelia situation, you will find out by the next episode.
Yay!
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that my running theory is that Bedelia is part of the cannibal family. So that's
everyone's in the cannibal family.
Everyone's part of the cannibal family.
We haven't seen Alana for a little while.
Yeah, we haven't, have we?
Who knows what she's up to?
Eating people.
Well, probably at some stage, yeah, being in Hannibal's house. So, in this episode, Hannibal reveals his motive, or at least part of his motive, certainly the motive that triggered the entire plot of this series. And that motive is, I was curious what would happen. How did you feel about it?
Autistic coded. I found it really cool.
Thought it was, it makes sense. Again, he's just doing it for banter. Like, he just wants to, like I said, he's playing with his food.
For the lols, exactly, yeah. Like, I like the fascination of cause and effect. Like, I like his fascination of cause and effect. Like, again, he feels like he thinks he's a god. He's a god, right? He well, at least he does not in a god, but he thinks he's above everyone else. So, like a god, he's his fascination feels like he's at least putting things into motion, at least putting cogs into motion and watching the outcome. And I think that's really cool. I like something like that. Like, I wouldn't go extreme as Hannibal would, because like to me it's just cool. But like the thought of kind of like being able to like manipulate things in a way and see how they fall, like the cogs fall, is really cool to me. And I like, again, one of my favorite parts of Hannibal is him being like that. Yeah.
I think that this just shows, I don't know, that it's like, it's infuriating, but it's kind of also expected at the same time. Like, psychopaths, we don't understand their reasoning really to some extent when the reasoning they give us anyway for certain things. You know, like, he literally was like, oh, I'm just curious to see what will happen. What the fuck do you mean, my guy? What the fuck do you mean you're doing it for shits and giggles? Like, that's what I mean, though. It has no fucking logical sense, because there is no logical sense happening up in that Brian of his. And that's why I was just like annoyed, but also like, yeah, kind of makes sense, because he's a dickhead.
I'm fascinated by how it doesn't make logical sense to you, but to me it makes all the sense in the world, because maybe because it's just how my brain works, is that I get that. I understand wanting to just see how things fall, and like, obviously I wouldn't do it as to extremes as he does, but yeah, I completely and utterly get it.
I understand about seeing what happens with something of like, you know, if I add a little bit of extra paprika in my sauce, not of like, oh, I want to see what happens if I taunt someone's brain before I kill them. It's a little bit different.
Yeah,
I understand about, like, I understand, and of cause and effect, I'm very much the same. I think everyone has a curiosity for certain things and different things, but when it comes to cannibalism, I would say I don't understand and don't want to understand.
Oh yeah, see, I'd say weirdly, I'm the opposite, and I understand. Like, I feel bad about understanding, but I understand.
I would say I have a tendency to try and avoid associating the term psychopathy with Hannibal. And I recognise that as a personal bias, because I find him very interesting as a character from having a lot more knowledge of the series than you two do. However, we have discussed in previous episodes how many symptoms of the old definition of psychopathy, which is now antisocial personality disorder, he has, and it's a lot of them. And to me, this motive is the one biggest signifier to say, yeah, he's a psychopath.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Not to say that your tendencies are psychopathic, Shaira, but the fact that he has put this together to be manipulative and ultimately doesn't care about what happens to other people, he just wants to play with them like God, is the most clearly, transparently psychopathic thing he does.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I agree with you. I don't like really putting psychopathy to Hannibal. I think like he fits some of it. I just don't feel like he fits all of it.
But I think you'd say that of anyone who's been called a psychopath, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
It's never that black and white.
No.
So Will, poor, sweet, lovely boy Will, is getting closer and closer to the truth. So I want to know, considering Jack's suspicion, where now Hannibal has planted the idea that Will is going to kill Abigail, do you think that Will is going to get the chance to connect the dots?
Yes.
No, because then there would be a short show.
I mean, not necessarily. You've seen where this show fucking goes. Fucking anything can happen.
I'm going to explain why I think we'll find out. We'll figure out. And we were speaking about this earlier. We were speaking about how Hannibal has some gambits for Bedelia and other people, and that's how he survives. That's how he doesn't get found out. I think similar things can happen with Will, where he will find out, but Hannibal will find it. He will put the two dots together because he's getting very, very close. And I think out of everyone, he at least has the most brain cells, and he's out of the fever. So I think he's going to find out, and he's going to figure it out. He's going to at least see. He's going to put himself. He's going to come face to face with Hannibal, and similarly to what happened with him and Abigail, he's going to disassociate, and he's going to think his mind's going to work, and his mind's going to let him to figure out. But at that point, obviously, you were saying, how would the show continue if he figures out who Hannibal is and Hannibal gets caught? I think Hannibal will find a way to manipulate Will, even if Will figures it out. My prediction is that even if Will figures it out, he's made Will some sort of killer. He's made Will some sort of suspect that he can't back out, even if he knows that Hannibal is the copycat killer. That's how I think Will figure out.
Okay, so Melissa's side is no, because then there'll just be nothing more. Do you have any other thoughts?
I think, I don't know, I just feel like Hannibal's way of control of the people around him and the way that people think and everything, the minute that Will has ever gotten close before, he's done something to throw them off or to do anything else. Excuse me. He's always acted anytime that Will's gotten close and done another murder or done another spectacle or something like that. And I think he being Hannibal, will just interfere with Will before he gets too close. I think he, again, is literally just toying around with him and just seeing how close he gets. And the minute that he does, just throw another element in there to try and see how he handles this. It's literally like, I don't know, he's like playing a game and Will is like passing each level, and each time that he passes a level, Hannibal's throwing another obstacle in there to see what he does and to see how he can get past it. Because if being a psychiatrist is actually like the other half of him, he is interested in this side of it. He's doing an experiment. Like, he literally said that there is a chance for opportunity with Will and his, what is it? Iridocyclitis?
Encephalitis.
Yeah, that one. So he thinks that there's an opportunity there to have an experiment. So I feel like he literally just sees Will as like a little lab rat and he's just like messing about. So I don't think he will ever let Will get that close unless Hannibal, for whatever reason, slips up and they act in a way that they catch him out. I don't think that Will ever get close enough to figure it out.
I think both those takes are super interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting take. I love it.
I think both are equally correct. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Bastard show that this is.
Yeah, like I don't have many disagreements with Melissa except that it was chicken soup, but otherwise that's
waiting for that.
Only agreement.
It's fine. We'll have our poll and we'll let the people decide.
She's like, I'm gonna kill this bitch.
All right, let's move on to our little endingy bits. So it is Melissa going first this week, apparently.
Yay!
Woo! Go for it!
Yay! Okay. Hello and welcome to my ending bits, as Felix likes to call them, where we say our favourite quote, just in case anyone randomly comes in and listens like halfway through or at the latest episode that comes out of the podcast, because I've sometimes done that. This is the part where we end and we say our favourite quote, our favourite moment of the show and of the episode even, and then what our predictions for the next episode is. Here is my first starting point. I did not go as smoothly as I thought, but I thought I'd try anyway. My favorite quote is so random, so unnecessary, and literally just because it made me laugh a little bit. When Jack says, "Let's something like let's play Jeopardy, shall we?" I just thought it was really funny. And then he says something, and obviously the way, in case nobody knows, Jeopardy is that game, isn't it, where you have the answer and you have to guess what the question is to that answer, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's like a backwards thing. Then he says this longest phrase, and then they kind of just don't get with it. They just lack of brain cells between the pair of them, and I just thought it was very funny. I thought this episode's comic relief in a way was really, really nice. I think they're quite good. I mean, not that it's always necessarily needed, but I just felt I don't know, it's been quite heavy recently, so this was a nice light moment, and they're very funny. I think they did it really well.
We needed it for this episode.
Yeah. So yeah, just that quote, just because it was literally so fucking random. I was just like, oh, okay, fair. My favorite moment, I have two. Obviously, it's going to be literally in my notes. I have written silky chicken disrespect because I tell you, the way that Hannibal, he was so quick with it. He just whipped his head round and just looked at him like, "Are you fucking serious?" And was just like, "Yes." He had to literally contemplate as to whether he wanted to rip this man out of his bed. or just I would have been so close to slapping someone. I'd be like, are you serious? He did this really beautiful long explanation of how the medicinal benefits come from it, and how rare the chicken is, how beautiful, how he's created it, explained it how you would have by a waiter that comes to you at a fine dining restaurant. They come and present you the dish like you see in TV. They present you the dish, and then they explain this is so and so with so and so, and you're like, wow, it adds to the kind of experience of it. This Donnie's getting it for free, and he man has the audacity to sit up and go, "Oh, you made me chicken soup." Fuck off. So I thought that was really funny, just the way that he so quickly looked at him and turned around and gave him such a death stare. I genuinely almost choked on my water at the first time that I saw that. I thought that was hilarious.
Disrespect.
Literally. And then the second one, my notes, I put Debbie Ryan hair tug. When what's her name in the oxygen tank? Georgia is in the oxygen tank, and I feel I don't know why, the way that Will said you look pretty, for me, felt a little bit out of his character, just because of, I think, for a lot of his mannerisms and his actions and the way that he's behaving, now that we know that there's something wrong and he's getting worse and worse, for me, the way in which he delivered it kind of felt a little bit off. I don't know why. It just felt like he was almost dipping into another disassociation episode. And it was just you look pretty. It was giving, it wasn't me, it was Patricia. And the way she then just it's just oh. And then just tucks her hair behind her ear, that Debbie Ryan moment in, what's it called? What's the film called? Radio, what's it? Radio Rebel. But yeah, no, this is just a meme. So it just reminded me of that. That's why I wrote it in my notes as Debbie Ryan hair tuck, because it's just so funny. Predictions. Oh my god. I don't even know what to predict anymore. I mean, obviously, I will still ride on this hill of gay sex until the very end, and I'm disappointed that there's no gay sex. But other predictions, though, I think maybe we see that Abigail is not unalived. I think that's my main prediction that I would think of. Yeah.
So my favourite quote is, again, for honourable mention, "You made me chicken soup." Yes, I did make you chicken soup. But then another pause and, "Yes, evil eyes." Good quote. But that's an honourable mention. But then my favourite quote is one that was given by Jack, and it's just like so close to understanding Will. Like this is why I say like I feel like Jack understands Will more than he thinks he does, and like it was why it hurt me when when Jack suspected Will. It's like, come on, you're so close to understanding Will. You understand Will. You just being manipulated. But yeah, is it really mental illness, or is it just that his mind works so differently than most people's that we don't know what else to call it? And that was one of my favorite quotes in the whole of the show.
It's really good.
So I have two favorite moments. The ending, because again, that whole line with him just being fascinated. Like, I get it. It's fascinating to just see how people work and see what people would do in a way. Obviously, I wouldn't do it that extreme, and no, I don't think I'm a god and would like to be a god, because that sounds like a terrible existence. Unfortunately, I don't want to like have control of anyone's life and have that much responsibility. I have enough responsibility to my plate already. But then my actual favorite moment, I say my main favorite moment, is Will just trying to be a dad on the plane. Like the whole goes, oh, I'll take you up that mountain with Abigail. I was like, oh, you are such a cutie, and he's a good dad compared to Hannibal, who's a bad dad. My next prediction, so like I feel like I said, Will's going to get close to the truth. I think we'll definitely find something, figure something out, and figure that Hannibal is involved. I don't think Abigail's going to die, like Melissa said, and I think Abigail's going to survive. Hannibal is going to manipulate both Will and Abigail, and they're all going to become a good cannibal family, happy cannibal family, and they're going to go to a picnic, and they're going to go up Eagle Mountain and have a picnic. That's my prediction.
It's the most optimistic prediction.
I was going to say, I thought you said he's going to manipulate.
Oh yeah, he's going to manipulate them all. He's going to get them. He's going to manipulate them all. But you know how that is. He's going to eventually charm them, and he's eventually going to recruit them into his cannibal family, and they're eventually going to go up on a long hike to Eagle Mountain, up Eagle Mountain, and go for a picnic. You know, that's my positivity there.
Well, that's very fair.
Maybe I'm overly positive. And maybe I'm going to get my heart broken again by Hannibal. But, that's how it is.
So, for my ending bits, I'm going to mention a couple of things before my actual bits. Because, Melissa, you mentioned the hair thing. I wanted to mention there's a little script detail that I think is quite sweet. Which is after Will has said that she looks pretty. It says, Georgia hasn't felt pretty in some time. It takes her a moment to absorb a compliment from a handsome man. She self-consciously brushes her hair back.
Oh, cute.
It's so sweet. And I'm just going to mention in general, there's quite a bit of cut dialogue from this episode. Some plain talk between Will and Abigail about mountains and glaciers, and quite a bit of conversation between like Hannibal and Jack about Will. But I'm not going to go through it because it's quite a bit. But if people are interested, I highly recommend looking at the show notes we publish, because it's basically a condensed version of the interesting stuff from the script, so you don't have to go through the whole script to see it. So that's there for people who are interested in that sort of thing. For my favourite quote, I'm going to give a little runner-up first. Which is when Will says, all her adult life, this woman was misunderstood, and what I can do is make sure that her death isn't misunderstood. Because that's just so nice.
Yeah.
Poor Georgia.
That's so nice.
And then my actual favourite quote is when Bedelia says to Hannibal, you cannot function as an agent of friendship for a man who is disconnected from the concept as a man who is disconnected from the concept. Is that part of their conversation, without giving too much away, kind of ties into other motives that Hannibal has or may have. For my favourite moment, it's when Hannibal plants the idea that Will has taken Abigail to go and kill her to Jack because he thinks he's Garrett Jacob Hobbs. And specifically Jack's response to it and how visibly difficult and jarring it is for him to think that Will has done something like that.
Yeah.
So painful to watch. It breaks my heart seeing Jack start to tear up.
Yeah.
I am not going to give a next episode prediction this week. Because I think even anything I say, joking or not, I don't want to let myself influence anything I might say. And I'm also not going to give a sign off because I don't want to give any kind of hint as to what might happen in the final episode of the series. So instead of a sign off, I'm just going to say, obviously we have another episode to record for this series, and then we'll probably take another little break before we get on to series 2. But I want to say a really big thank you to Shaira and Melisa for offering to do this podcast with me in the first place. It's a very small niche thing to do and allows me to look into something I have such a deep passion for and have an excuse to share that information with people. And I really look forward to it each week, and I'm incredibly grateful to you both for allowing me to do this.
Well, after the disrespect I've had with the chicken soup malarkey, I think I'm going to quit. No, I'm joking. Thank you so much for...
It's a shame that it is chicken soup.
No, thank you, Felix, for giving us something to, first of all, something to do. And second of all, just introducing us to this show where I feel like I speak for us both when I say we're both obsessed with it, both very invested as much as you are, and to have the insight into other, tidbits of the script and like behind the scenes, really what it is of like how they did it in terms of production and stuff is a really fun insight to have and very unique, I feel like. And I think for other people that will be watching at the same time and listening as they watch the show for the first time, I feel like it's like a group thing, like we're all doing it together, and I think it's a really exciting project to be on with you.
Yeah, it's been extremely fun, and I've enjoyed every kind of podcast, every recording that we've done, and every episode that we get to watch together, and every single episode that we watch. It's been really fun, and thank you for having us. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for inviting me onto the podcast. I've never done a podcast before. First type podcast I've done, and it's been extremely fun.
Hell yeah. Thank God, because you both could have come on, watched the first episode and be like, oh, fuck, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I think it's a bit shit. So thank God that didn't happen.
I mean, we're all gay here, so I feel like it would have been a bit weird if we didn't.
Gays. It is the show.
Yeah. Keep breaking my heart, but I still keep coming back.
Oh, it gets worse. Fate and Circumstance is an independent podcast brought to you by Felix Fanfaron Fern, Melisa Suzan, and Shaira Bambi. You can find and follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Hannibal Pod. We are fans of the show NBC's Hannibal and do not own the rights to any of the materials discussed, merely appreciators. The music used in this podcast is Tchaikovsky's Op No. 40 Waltz by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. Thanks for listening.